All right, morning grade 8. So some of you are asking for a vision session on scale. So I'm going to do two basic things with you today. We're going to be looking at how to identify scale on a map. And then the second thing we're going to do in another video is how to work with the formula of scale. Now this is a nice big map of MUML. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be discussing how scale is being used. Now you can appreciate this was a very big area. And what scale is doing is takes an area that's very large and it makes it very small, but it keeps the original shape of the object. Now in your notes you would see that there's a map of South Africa. So looking at the map that you have of South Africa, we've taken South Africa and we've made it very small. So it fits on this page, but I still have the correct outline of what South Africa looks like. In other words, the shape of South Africa still looks like South Africa. Here's another example. You can see that South Africa has been made small to fit on this page. The outline of South Africa remains the same. In other words, I've kept the shape. So what scale does is it takes something that's very big and it makes it small, keeping the original shape. Looking at your notes, you had those two cars, a big car and a small car. I've just made the big one smaller. A scale is used to take it from this size to that size, keeping the original shape. Now why we use scale, because if I'm working on a map like this, I want to be able to work out what the distance is from Johannesburg to Durban when I go on holiday. So looking on this map, you can appreciate that that is not the distance from Johannesburg to Durban. So I want to be able to figure out how much have they reduced the size of South Africa to fit on this page, and then I can calculate the distance from Johannesburg to Durban. So today we're going to be focusing on how scale is shown to you on your maps. In your notes you'll see that there's three different ways of a scale being shown you on a map. First one is a word scale. Now it's very complicated. A word scale is a scale in words. So written somewhere on the map, this one actually doesn't have one, but written somewhere on this map there'd be a sentence that says 1 centimeter on the map represents however far in kilometers. The example in your note says 1 centimeter on the map represents 2 kilometers in reality. It's written in words. The problem with the word scale is if you don't speak or read that language, it's hard for you to understand what that scale says. So if this was a map that was made in Germany, for instance, and they wrote it all in German, then I wouldn't be able to understand what the scale is. So you don't often find word scales on maps. The more common one are these bottom two. First one is a representative fraction or a ratio scale. Now, a representative fraction or a ratio scale looks like this on a map. Now in grade 8, we don't give you this type of scale. What I'm going to give you is I'm going to give you a ratio scale with the units included. Now what that means is I'm going to give you the units, so it'll look something more like this. Instead of it not having any units, meaning centimeters or kilometers, like this on the map, I'm going to give it to you like this. This means 1 centimeter on the map represents, that's the dot dot, represents or is equal to 2 kilometers in reality. So if I was to use this scale, which is incorrect for this map, I would say that for 1 centimeter on this map that I measure, I'm going to have to walk 2 kilometers in reality. If I don't give you the units, like you see on this map over here, then what this is saying is that 1 unit represents 50,000 of the same unit. So 1 centimeter represents 50,000 centimeters. 1 meter represents 50,000 meters. The units have to be the same. Again, in grade 8, I'm going to give you the units. So when it comes to a ratio scale, you'll see it like this on your map. And it means 1 centimeter on the map represents or is equal to 2 kilometers in reality. The last type of scale that you'll see is called a line scale. Now a line scale is pretty simply a scale or a gauged line like this. It's a line that's got a whole bunch of markings on it. If I was to look at my nice big map again, there's a very long line scale at the bottom. Maybe it's a bit too big for us. Let's look at this map that's in your notes. Over here I can see there's a line scale. What that line scale is showing me is that that distance is equal to, on the bottom, 200 miles, and that distance is equal to 200 kilometers. So if I travel that distance on the map, it's 200 kilometers. It's a line scale. Now there's different types of line scales. Have a look at this picture here and I'll give you a blow-up of it. The first one, that's the distance of 20 kilometers. The second one, that's the distance 20 kilometers. And the third one, all three of the first three are the same. They're just shown differently. The third one has the first few smaller, going I think about 2 and a bit, up till 10, 20, 30, 40. And the last two, you can see that the zeros actually moved across. It goes 10, 5, 0, then 10, 20, 30, 40. Now how you use a line scale is that it's showing you this distance on the map would equal 10 kilometers in reality on this line scale. Let's look at the line scale that's in your notes again. Here I've got 0 to 200 kilometers. If you're given a line scale, maybe it's helpful if you convert your line scale into a ratio scale. Meaning, I want to try and figure out what is 1 centimeter going to represent on this map. So if that's the line scale I'm given, let's try to figure out what 1 centimeter would represent. To do that, use a ruler and measure 1 centimeter on the line scale. So you can see that 1 centimeter is now equal to 100 kilometers because I've measured it. So for every 1 centimeter I measure on the map, I'm going to have to walk 100 kilometers. I suggest you do this when given a line scale. It's easier when it comes further down in using the scale to solve a problem of distance from one point to another point. So if given a line scale, convert it from a line scale to a ratio scale, measuring 1 centimeter on the line scale and then marking off what is it equal to on your line scale. Second video, I'm going to show you how to now use the scale that's given to you on the map to calculate what the true distance is. So we're going to be looking at what is the actual distance now from Johannesburg to Durban and how do I calculate that. So look at the second video for working with scale.